Okay, all right, so here we are. So this is our Sunday night team huddle, and it is February 16th, 2020. I'm Missy Hides. I am your National Vice President and Independent Consultant with Arbonne, and just so excited to have everybody on. And I wanted to just jump into the content that I wanted to share for tonight. There is the other call that's following this call, but tonight is going to be, and whether you're watching live with us or whether you're watching the recording, this is going to be a training call that I am going to recommend that you have a piece of paper and a place to write down some notes, okay? And I understand that you can take notes like on a phone, you can write them on a laptop, but I will also tell you that scientifically it's been proven that there is something that creates more connection for us when we put pencil or pen to paper, okay? And so just want to encourage you to do that tonight. And this isn't a call where you're gonna have to be writing down like tons of stuff. What I want you to be writing down, there's gonna be some questions I'm gonna be asking you, and then there's gonna just be some things I'm gonna be sharing. And what sticks out to you is what I want you to write down, because that is really the whole point of training calls, is that you start to connect up with the information that you need for your life and your business, okay? So we are having a great month. There's so many fun things, and I'm gonna use the Facebook team page to update us on like the sponsoring incentive that got going on, all those things. But I really wanted to just take the time tonight in this short 30 minutes that I have to share just some thoughts in not necessarily a new concept, but the power of a concept and a power of beliefs. And because I really do, like I put in my post, you might have thought that I was like overselling the call when I'm like, what I'm going to be sharing can really like impact your life and your business for 2020. But I believe that to my core, I absolutely do. And so, so we're going to jump right in. What I want to ask you tonight is that you be open to what I'm going to share as if this is the first time hearing it. Okay. And instead of saying something like, if a thought comes into your mind and you're like, I know this already, Missy, you've already talked about this, or I've listened to training calls on this. Instead of saying that, ask yourself, okay, what can I learn from this? And these two kind of sentences or thoughts are really something that I want you to start incorporating anytime you hear a training. When you go to GTC, when you go to training at AIT, when you go and listen to Learn and Burns, guess what? Very little of it is new material, right? Like the Bible talks about that there's nothing new under the sun. The whole book of Ecclesiastes talks about like there's nothing new under the sun. It's just regurgitated truth over and over again. And it's the same thing in your business. You're not really going to hear new nuggets, but you're going to hear them in a new way or for the first time. And so ask yourself tonight as I'm sharing, what can I learn from this? Because even if you have already heard it or you feel like you already know it, if you're not living in the fruit of it, if you're not experiencing the benefits of it, then there's still something yet to learn, okay? The other thought you might have when I'm sharing some of this stuff is, this won't work for me. And instead of saying that, I want you to ask yourself, how can this work for me? How can I start to incorporate what we are talking about tonight on the training? Okay, so what I'm going to share is really kind of like the cliff notes of a chapter from this book called Everything is Figure Outable. And the gal's name is Marie Forleo. You can follow her on Instagram. I really know very little about her. I ordered this book because people that I look up to in Arbonne were posting that they were reading this book and really loving it. And so I got it, I started reading it, and was really blown away by this chapter that she wrote about belief. And so that's what we're going to talk tonight about is belief. And you might hear that and even like, I've heard 97 trainings on belief. I get it. But like I asked you a few minutes ago, start to think about, well, what can I learn, or how can this work for you? I can tell you that I have read a lot of books on belief. I have listened to a lot of trainings on belief, but what I took away from this chapter, I've read the chapter probably 3 times now, I absolutely believe is a critical key. It's a component that if each of us will start to implement this, we will start to see results not only in our personal lives, in our finances, in our health, but absolutely our businesses with what she talks about in this chapter. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys several quotes from just different people. Some of them she referenced, some of them she didn't. But the whole premise is that the ancestor of every action that we take starts with a thought. And that comes from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Everything that has gone, everything that we see in the world today, every concrete structure, every accomplishment, everything that you are seeing, experiencing as you look around your house, you know, like I look at a water bottle. I think that's it, you know, Tara said that's Ivy's water bottle. That was an idea. That was a thought someone had to package water. And there had to be, in order for the water bottle to be a living, active structure that we now have in our life, it started as someone's thought, an idea, right? And so that's where everything comes from. Our minds are the most incredible creations, and they are the birthplace of every extraordinary experience we've ever encountered and every major breakthrough in human history. Okay? Everything in the material world first is created at the level of thought. And so that's what we're talking about tonight, is we're talking about your thoughts, your beliefs, because everything that you are experiencing in your life is a result of the thoughts and the beliefs that you currently hold. And when we start to really realize that, one, it makes us realize how important our thought life is and how important our belief system is. And two, it can give us a lot of hope, because guess what then? Where do we start to create change? Is we start to create change in the thoughts and the beliefs so that they come to fruition in the realities and the experiences, okay? So I want you to take a minute and really think on that everything that you have and everything in the material world first started with a thought. And I want you to think of a time when you had an idea or you had a thought and it became an experience. And I want you to write that down, because we have to start to connect up things so that we can build on them for the next thing, right? So I want you to think about a time where you had a thought or an idea of something that you wanted to do, maybe a trip you wanted to take, maybe a career you wanted to have, maybe a family you wanted to create, maybe a place you wanted to live. And then you eventually experienced it, or you eventually created it, okay? Sometimes there have been things that you knew as a kiddo, like when you were 5, 6 years old, that you wanted to do, like you wanted to see, I don't know, maybe the Grand Canyon. And then when you were 21, you saw the Grand Canyon because you made decisions or you made choices to make that thought or that belief a reality. Okay, so I want you to think about what that is. It could be something like playing sports, choosing a certain career, starting your Arbonne business, getting your health, back on track. Like when people have results with the 30 Days to Healthy Living, it starts with the thought that I want to have a better life. I want to lose weight, right? That's where it actually starts, is in their thought process. And then the belief that if I follow this program, I will get the results they say I will, or I will achieve XYZ results, right? It starts with this thought and this belief. Maybe it's like being debt-free, like people that become debt-free, at some point they had a thought that they placed value on being debt-free, paying off credit cards, paying off student loans, right? And then they follow that with consistency and work and effort. We're gonna talk about that. And then it creates the reality where they call into the Dave Ramsey show and they're like, we're debt-free, right? So that all starts with a thought and a belief system. Okay, nothing exists in your world and our world that does not first exist in the mind. So beliefs are the hidden scripts that run your lives. It is the programming. We have computers, we have hardware, and then we have software. The software is your belief system. That's what's running all the time, whether we are conscious of it or not. A belief is something that you know with total and absolute certainty. It's a thought that you've decided on consciously or not, and that it is true. And it might not actually even be true, but your beliefs have assigned the value of truth to it, right? Like they used to think the world was flat. That wasn't true, but they held the belief that that was the truth, that that was a fact, that that was the thought process of the day, right? So I want you to think about that, because here's the progression of how this plays out. And I'm going to connect all this up for you so that you can start to see this part is how we eventually start to see the results we want, particularly in our business. So in order to get a result, your result comes from behaviors. Your behaviors come from your feelings. Your feelings are produced from your thoughts, and your thoughts are birthed out of your beliefs. Okay, so it is it's a chain progression. So we want results, right? We want to see growth. We want to see improvement. We want to see sponsoring. Maybe we want to see more QV. We want to see a promotion. Well, that result comes from your behaviors, your disciplines, your activity, your skill set, right? Well, you do those things based on how you feel, right? If you feel like honing skills, if you feel like sharing things with people, if you feel like prospecting, if you feel whatever, there's the feelings category. The feelings are the result of what you think about. And when you're thinking about things, if you're thinking, there's who I'm looking for is looking for me. I can't help but sponsor an ACE into my business. I absolutely, can't wait to meet my next person today. That's the thought life that you have, and the thoughts are birthed out of your belief system. The belief system are the things that say, I have favor, I have provision, what I need has already been given to me. I'm loved, I'm valued, I'm seen, I'm accepted. Why do you think that is such a huge part of our community and our culture in this team? Is because that is where all of this starts, right? So, but I can be telling you that, but that still might not be a belief system that you hold for yourself. So in order to solve any problem or achieve any dream, we must first make a change at the level of the belief. Okay, so I'm going to start to connect this up for you with your business. And I want you to write down and start to think about and really process, what are the beliefs that you hold to be true or truth about yourself and your business? Because when people are struggling to sponsor, when they're struggling to find people who want to join them in this business and those things, then you need to start looking at, what beliefs do you hold about sponsoring? What beliefs do you hold about this opportunity? What beliefs do you hold about the influence that you carry when you're talking to people? Do you believe that people listen to you? Do you believe that you have value when you talk? Or do you believe that people just want you to hurry up and stop talking and just move on, right? So if you're struggling to, let's say, consistently get in front of 40 faces every month and do that in a row, what beliefs do you have about your own discipline? What beliefs do you have about how many people that you have access to? When people say things like, I've run out of people, I can't find people, nobody says yes to me, nobody responds to me. That is connected to some beliefs that you hold, okay? If you're struggling to promote and you feel like, I just can't get to that next level, okay? Oftentimes, almost always, it is tied to a belief that you are holding. And so when people feel stuck, they're not stuck because they don't know what to do. They're not stuck because maybe they're even unwilling to do the work. They're stuck because there's a belief system that's limiting your ability to grow to that next level. And I'm going to give you guys a very personal example. For me, I absolutely had to walk this out, what I'm talking about, what I'm teaching you guys about tonight, and realize that even though for years, like remember, I've been in Arbonne for 15 years. I've been a national vice president now, not quite a year. So for 14 years, I would say I want to be a national vice president, but I was not. And I, for years, thought it was because it had something to do with the system I was running, my consistency, my activity, whatever. And really what I came to realize was that there was a belief really, really deep down in me that if I promoted to national vice president and if I became more than I already was, that it would end up leaving me very lonely and isolated. Because I held a belief that most people don't want to be around successful people. Most people are uncomfortable being around people who achieve things or who have, you know, really great incomes or things like that, that I would just make people really uncomfortable and they would push me out, because that was in some ways what my experience had been most of my life, right? And I'm not even saying that those experiences were true, but that was the lens that I looked at those experiences in my life through. And so even though I said I want to be a national vice president, I was withholding myself from becoming a national vice president because of this held belief. Does that make sense? And so there are going to be things that you're like, why am I not promoting? Why am I not sponsoring? Why can't I get to district manager? Oftentimes it's because there's a belief that you don't deserve it, that you're not worthy of it. Maybe, and I'm going to get into some of this other stuff, but I can tell you that when this belief for me at my very core changed, I was free to be unapologetically me. I was free to grow. I was free to shine. I was free to flourish. And that attracted people to my business. It created a culture and an environment where the work and the effort could be done for us as a team to grow the nation. But it was so tied, so heavily tied to this belief that I held, okay? So when we're stuck, like I said, it's rarely because we don't know what to do, and it's sometimes not even that we aren't doing the work. It's that the work isn't producing the results because the beliefs we are holding. Like I have seen time and time again, people go through the motions of their business. They go through the activity, they do the reach outs, they do the overviews, they do the group events, and it doesn't yield results because they're just simply going through the motions and they don't hold a belief that who they're looking for is looking for them, that when they go into an event in somebody's home, that people are going to say yes to the opportunity, yes to the products, right? They don't go into a one-on-one and expecting people to sign up that moment. So they're going through the motions, they're going through the activity, but because they hold some beliefs of various reasons, they don't get the results that they say that they want or that they do want because of these beliefs, okay? So I have seen this to be true. I'm trying to think of where I put this in my notes, but I have seen this to be true when I have had some of you send me text messages or screenshots of like messages that people have sent to you and you're like, ugh, or like, I can't believe they said no, or how do you respond to this? And you are looking, you and I look at the same message, and what some of you see as a no, I see as a, they're not saying no. She's just saying, I don't know enough yet. She's just saying, tell me a little bit more. She's just saying, I'm a little bit nervous. Help me overcome my objection. And oftentimes, again, the reason that you're seeing no is because there's a belief that people say no to network marketing. There's a belief that network marketing is skeptical for people, that people think you're in a pyramid scheme. That is not a belief system I hold. I hold a belief system that this is an awesome thing. And once I can help connect up the dots for people, they will say yes. My job is just to connect the dots. I don't have any of those other beliefs. So I don't hardly ever see a message that is like, they're saying no. Does that make sense? So it's like you're seeing the same two messages, but because of two different belief systems, you are interpreting it two different ways. There was several good case studies that she gave in this chapter. One, there's just two I wanted to share. One was an orthopedic surgeon who wasn't sure the benefits of like orthoscopic surgery. So he took half his patients and he performed orthoscopic surgery on them, which is like you just make little incisions and you do repairs with cameras. And then the other like group of his patients, he did kind of like a sham surgery. Like they put them under, they went through the whole routine. He made very like minor cuts on their knees, but he actually never performed any surgery. But what they found was that 1/3 of the people who had this sham surgery reported having like results as if they had gotten a full surgery. And some of the people reported getting better results than people that actually got the surgery because they believed that they got their knee fixed or their joint fixed. Okay? Isn't that fascinating? Like they literally had nothing done, but because they believed that they got fixed during the surgery, that's what they experienced. Okay? The other one was in 1962, and it was this study, I think it was done in Japan. They said it was 13 boys and they blindfolded them, and there was this really poisonous leaf that everybody was really aware of in that culture. And so they took a leaf, they told the boys that it was poisonous, and they rubbed it on their right arm, okay? And all of the boys got this like horrible rash reaction to this leaf, okay? But the leaf was not the poisonous leaf. It was just a normal leaf. But they told the boys that it was the poisonous leaf. And so the boys broke out in this rash. Then on the left arm, they told them that it was the non-poisonous leaf. They rubbed it all over their arm. They didn't break out in a rash, but they actually were using the poisonous leaf. Isn't this fascinating? So I was telling Sunny about this afternoon, and I was like, this makes me think of poison ivy. Because what do we hear about poison ivy? Poison ivy gets worse as you get older. And I'm like, why? And then I wonder, does it get worse as we get older because we like psych ourselves out on what poison ivy is going to do on the body? So now it's like worse as an adult because we know what poison ivy looks like on the skin. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm just saying it's the power of thought. It's the power of our belief. Your beliefs are the master commanders of your behavior and your results. They will tell you what to notice, what to focus on, what it means, and what to do about it. And so this, I guess, is the example about the messages, like why you can take two messages and interpret them so differently, why you can go to an event, go to a one-on-one, like I've gone to one-on-ones or I've done Zoom calls with lots of people on the team, and we get off and we message back and forth and they're like, ugh, gosh, thought she would have responded different, thought he would have responded different, and feeling kind of like bad about it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. Like, that was so great. Like, we're just taking her through the process. We're taking him through the process, right? Because it's that lens of belief that we have. So long-term, your beliefs are going to absolutely determine your destiny. And I know that sometimes some of this can feel like really hard to wrap our minds around, but I'm just here to tell you guys that the sooner that you can do this and the more that you can actually implement this into your life and your business, you're going to see the results of this. Beliefs create behaviors, and every belief has a consequence. It doesn't matter what's true. It matters what you believe. Always. It always does. So yes, consistent action, creativity, and commitment all play a role to create your beliefs into reality. But here's one thing that is absolutely certain. If you don't believe something is possible for you, it is not. Period. End of story. The moment you tell yourself, I can't, or that's not possible, or that won't work for me, you are 100% right. And we've heard this quote, and it gets quoted, and I don't even think people realize the power of this. It's a Henry Ford quote of whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. We say that so flippantly, but that is the absolute truth. So if you don't think that you can become a national vice president or an executive national vice president or a regional vice president or an area manager, then you can't. And the only reason though you can't is because it's a belief that you're holding about your abilities or about your opportunity or about something, And the only thing limiting you is the belief, like the mindset. That's the nutso part about all of this, okay? So you command, when you say it's not possible, that won't work for me, I can't get in front of 40 people, I can't win the sponsoring challenge, I can't earn AIT. Like if you've decided at this point that you're not gonna earn AIT Bahamas 2020, you're not. But the only reason that you're not is you are making the choice to. And so then you need to take responsibility for that. It has nothing to do with, I couldn't get in front of enough people, I don't have enough time, my schedule's too busy. Like that's why there's just no room for the excuses in this business, because it has nothing to do with excuses. It has to do with beliefs. It has to do with what we think about. But when you say those things, you command your brain to shut down, and then the mind and the body will absolutely follow. Okay? So when you change your beliefs, you can change everything. And that's why I wanted to share this tonight, because we are only in February. And I know where I believe that we can be by the end of this year. And instead of just focusing on the activity or focusing on the how-tos, I think this is a critical component. This is why many times when you've heard me say, I see a flip being like, the flip or the switch has been flipped for someone, and I know it's like their go time, it's typically their go time from area to region. It really has very little to do with, oh, I see that they're in a lot more activity. I see that they've flipped a switch on a belief that they hold about themselves, or that they hold about this opportunity, or that they hold about their capacity, okay? So you have to understand where your beliefs come from. And obviously in this 30-minute training, we're not gonna chunk through all of these things, but it comes from 5 places: your environment, your experience, the evidence around you, examples that you see, or envisioning. So maybe you've never seen someone do something, but you know that it's a desire in your heart, that it's something that you want to be able to achieve one day. You can sit and envision it. You can picture it. You know, Roger Bannister had never seen anybody break the 4-minute mile, but he believed that it was possible. And so he didn't have an example of it. He had never had an experience of it, but he envisioned that it could happen, right? And so understanding that things come from these places, we don't want to live in a blame game. Everybody, you assume everybody's doing the very best that they can. Like our parents all mess up, right? They probably like gave us some bad programming, some bad belief systems, but it's time to like move away from that and start to create your own belief systems for your own life. You're an adult, right? And you might have had some experiences that were less than awesome, but one of my mentors has always said is we create the stories that we tell ourselves around every experience. We get to decide what the story is. And is the story serving us or is it not, right? We look for evidence. We look for examples. So this was another quote that I love. We do not see things as they are. We see them as we are, right? And so again, this goes back to why are we so big in this team about telling you we love you, telling you you're valued, telling you that you're seen, that you're accepted. Because that is the lens that I want you to start looking at your life through, this business through, your opportunities through. Because when that's the lens, it changes how you see everything. And then the last thing, 2 last things, is that there's something called confirmation bias, which means our brains tend to reinforce what we already believe. This is why the principle of what we focus on grows. We focus and pick out information that aligns with our beliefs. So when people tell me I can't get in front of 40 faces a month, guess what their experience is? They can't get in front of 40 faces a month. Why is that? Because they look for evidence to align with a belief system that they have. Flip side of that, why are there people promoting to national vice president in 12 months and they're 22 years old? It's because they have a belief system that they can. They have a belief system that this is an equal opportunity and all they have to go do is do the things that they're being told to do. And if they do them, it'll work out. And guess what? It is, right? And so it's identifying what are these beliefs, and if the beliefs that you have are not serving you, if they're not creating the life that you want, if they're not giving you the gains that you want in your business, then here's the good news, is all beliefs are a choice and choices can be changed. So you get to decide tonight what you want to start believing for, what you actually want to start aligning yourself with, what you actually want to hold as a belief system for your business, but for your life, for your health, for your finances. If you've always had credit card debt, that's probably tied to a belief. Whether you got that from your parents, whether you got that from some sort of experience, I don't really know. But if you don't want to have credit card debt for the rest of your life, you can make a change, but it changes with the belief that you have about finances, about provision, about managing the money that you have, about your spending, right? Like, so many times people, myself included, we want to change the result, but we don't want to address the belief that is the root of all of this stuff. Okay, so that's the good news. So you can retrain your brain. It's called neuroplasticity. There's lots of great books on it. There's a lady called Carolyn Leaf. You can follow her. She's got lots of good material. It's also called renewing your mind daily. The Bible talks about we renew our mind daily. Why is that? It's because we've got to evaluate the beliefs that we're operating out of. The beliefs is the soil that everything is going to grow out of, okay? And she obviously has the premise based on her book that the one belief that will unlock all other beliefs is the belief that everything is figure outable. So everything is figure outable. So if you have a business with Arbonne, like you do, and you right now have a belief of, I don't know how to get in front of 40 faces a month, but my overarching belief is everything is figure outable, then the everything is figure outable will start to create the ideas, the creativity, the opportunities, the eyes to see people to get you in front of 40 faces in a month, right? If you don't believe that you can be a national vice president, but you believe everything is figure outable, then that will start to override, well, why don't I believe that? Where does that come from? And many of the things, you guys, that we hold as beliefs, we just inherited from somebody. And they're not actually true, and they're not actually ones that we would want to align with if we could choose to start from a clean slate. But we just become so like naturally ingrained with them that we don't take the time to stop and really evaluate. And so that's what I want us to really do. And I'm going to wrap this up because I know we're going over the 9:30 mark. But I just really, this is so critical and so huge. And this is probably a training you're going to need to rewatch because it's a lot of content in a little bit of time. But it's just starting to really dig into, what do I believe about this business and myself and my ability and what I can create and the timeline that I can create it in. And realizing that many and most often why we aren't getting the results that we want, and I'm going to give you that kind of linear progression again. The results come from the behaviors that you're choosing. The behaviors are birthed out of the feelings that are stewing inside of you. The feelings come from the thoughts that you have, what you're telling yourself on a daily basis or a moment-to-moment basis. And your thought life comes out of your belief system. So changing the beliefs that you have then creates this domino effect to change the results. So I'm going to look in the chat box. The name of the book is Everything's Figure Outable by Marie Forleo. I think it's also Audible too. It's really good. I just got started on it, but it's killer. It's a killer book. So, all right. Does anybody have any questions, comments before we hop off? I should have prefaced that this was going to be like a lot in 30 minutes, but it's important. And it's important because I know what each one of you are capable of, and that's why you will hear people say, I saw in them what they couldn't see in themselves. Because oftentimes your upline, your leaders, hold a different belief system than you do, and that's why we can see the things in you and the potential in you that you can't yet see yourself. And so I want to, again, help shorten this curve so that you can start to see these things in yourself and change those beliefs that will serve you and grow your business and not keep you feeling in that place of being stuck or, you know, not moving in the way that you want to be. So anyways, all right. Love you all so much. Hop over to the other call. The Zoom is on the Facebook. Tonight, I actually think she's talking about mindset and creating a strong why for your business. So, all right, love you all so much.